But Nature Strip getting on terms now. Here comes the champ, Nature Strip, taking the lead from Eduardo, clear from Lost and Running, and Nature Strip back on target to defend his Everest title.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot, and I'm joined in studio with Johnny Walter. He's looking fresh.
Gone to a new level, mate. I stopped Forbes racing on Monday or Tuesday. I've stopped a card show now that I've been waiting 6 months for. What can't I stop?
Lismore's underwater this afternoon.
I'll stop it. Yeah, Beef Week Princess in today. I'll stop it. They'll call them off by race 6 or whatever it is. Yeah, don't worry.
I see the great Anthony Don might be venturing down to Lismore. If they're on, he's all over Captain Underpants in race 2. He's fearless, isn't he, the Donny?
Captain Underpants.
I think that's what he's on.
I hope he's there. Like, now, what's that old mate's name? The bloke who used to play for Cronulla? He could be in the underpants flashing down the fence like Nathan. What's his name?
I don't know.
Champion bloke. Longy.
Oh,
Nathan Long.
In-play Longy. Always see him at Ballina. He'll be probably there. Joined in Melbourne with DK and Henry, Trevor Lawson from Champion Bets. Welcome, boys.
Hi, Scooty.
Scoot, how are we? DK.
Good start down here. It was a bit different than normal because public holiday down here. Good morning, the Queen, and
20 degrees.
20 degree. Well, normally, Trev, but this time of year, been coming in. It's been shit weather, and you sit in traffic for an hour, peak hour traffic trying to get here. So today, not a cloud in the sky, and got in here in 20 minutes. Magnificent. So, good to have you in, mate. Good to have you subbed in. How's it been going down for you?
Okay. Yeah, it's just, I think everyone probably says the same thing. It's just a bit of a battle. It's not like you just got to be right a lot more than, you used to. With the prices, things like that. So in the past, I think you could be wrong a few times and, still make a profit. But now, basically you're just hoping to get the price that you've marked it. So, you've just got to be a bit more selective and ride a lot more.
Just give for people who don't really know you, Trev. So you've been, I've known you for a long time at the track. You were, but in a past life, you're a pro golfer?
I was a pro golfer. I stopped in about 96, I think.
96, and then turned your hand to the punt after that?
Yeah, so I got to about 98 and I never really had a job and thought I got to make something work here. So I sort of got into, I'd always bet and I got a bit more serious and I met a couple of guys and they helped me along the way and then I got a database and then I sort of started, and then I had my own little private group that I sort of did prices for in early 2000 just to get me started. And, I've sort of kept doing that. I've still got the first customer I ever had. And then I started Champion Bets in 2016, so I've been there 6.5 years.
It's the Melbourne analyst. Very good.
Yeah. So... it's changed along the way. We wouldn't have been a metro meeting we didn't go to back in the day, and now I've been one meeting in 5 years.
Yeah, it's changed. We were talking downstairs, and we'll probably talk about later the changes. There's been, it doesn't stop, does it? From when I met you at the track 20 years ago, when the full betting rings and all happening, and then 10 years ago, I just finished at Mark Reed's then and things like that, and then even to what's happened the last 2 to 3 years. But you said something interesting just quickly before we get back to your Scoot on the way, and I just asked Henry, what's the biggest change, say, in the last 3 or 4 years? And you were saying, like, you'd sort of, it's the value. You'd say you'd back your horses in a race and aim to get a return, and that return you've seen, halved, or what do you say?
Yeah, so that was the one thing I learnt off sort of the smarter guys was, try and back multiple horses. So you used to be able to get sort of, 9 to 4, so $3.20, $3 your money, maybe $2.80. And so you didn't have to be right all the time. You just had to be right enough and you could make, reasonable sort of profit. Where nowadays you're just hoping to get the price. So, if you got 6 to 4, you'd be, throwing cartwheels. But normally it's sort of 5 to 4, even money, sometimes $1.90. So it's just got a lot tighter. So you've got to be more selective. And, it's just
and you just to dumb that down. You were saying to me that, say, you'd have something marked 2 hopes, marked 4 to 1 or 5 to 1. They're the ones you want to back. And then they'd be $8 and $7 and you'd bet. Now, when they hit the $5 or the $6, that's when you're betting.
Yeah. So now it's because
in the
in the past, the market went up half an hour before the race. So it hadn't been chiselled away since the Wednesday. And so you might get $6.50, the horse that should be $4.50, and then it'd run $4.50, where now that horse, it should be $4.50. It opens up $4.
Yeah, spot on.
So you can't be on it at all.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the issue where there used to be all the fat in it. Plus they were betting a lot less percentages.
Yeah, we'll probably get that band down that later, talk a bit more about that, Scooty, the changes in products and percentages.
Yeah, I might as well talk about it while we're fresh. But it's scary. Some of the average over rounds have risen by 4% in the last sort of 12 months, which is frightening, and that's all off the back of POC tax. And we speak about it a lot, and it's a stark example. Trevor's been in the game since 1998, and the dramatic shift is just crazy. I did see BZ tweet out that they haven't changed the prize money in the Golden Rose since 2005, so that's 17 years they've marched along for $1 million race, and now they've got all these pop-up races. The pattern's absolutely destroyed, and it should be a joyous weekend, and I'm sure it will be with the quality of races this weekend. But Best of the Best is now dead at TopSport, so a consequence of POC tax, now this product's unavailable until further notice. Tristan informs me, so that's basically...
And that's across the board. That's not just selected customers. He's taken it completely off the board.
Yeah. So it's just unsustainable for TopSport to offer Best of the Best. So that's top fluck or best of 3 totes. So the big thing for me, it's a massive blow for recreational punters, for semi-pro punters, for time-poor punters, and it decreases the trading window. So instead of on a Saturday morning or when final fields come out on a Wednesday, you have your 200 or your 100 or 500 or whatever it is, Best of the Best. And you can sort of set that bet and forget, so you'll get the fluctuations, you'll get the tote guarantee at the back. You don't have to sit there and wait in the chair all day to try and fish out a price for the last 5 or 20 minutes of trade, or try and guess when the bigger boys are going to step into the market and knock the price off. Because for me, you can even see it with the average over rounds. 12 months ago, and maybe
and they
3
were high
years
already.
ago.
That's what you got to say. They weren't as if they were low and they're rounding up to sort of they were high, rising, but they've just risen, like you're saying, 4% in a year.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what it's like obviously you could compare it to interest rates or something like that. It's a monstrous rise.
So that's a big blow. So
he's actually like vocally chosen to implement that before the carnival, which is the last thing he wanted to do, simply because they've sort of forecast
bad results.
Yeah, if they held a certain amount of money over the carnival, what would they have to do? And they just can't survive it.
Yeah, the modeling's really, really scary, and it's even sports products across the boards. Some guys are opening up $1.87 lines. They're only getting to $1.90 on race on the game day, which is crazy. I think when I was at BetStar with Alan Iskander, we were betting 192, 193 lines, and that was, probably
you could shop around and get $2
7 years ago.
You could get even money both. I get pretty easily, couldn't you?
We were letting punters on to win, $5,000 and $10,000 bets at 193 you pick. Like it was crazy percentage there, but with all the fees that you pay at the moment, it's getting really, really difficult, and the squeeze is absolutely on. And I spoke off air early in the week to tee Trev up, and we both sort of agreed, and it's basically just less bets, trying to have more on them if you can get the right sort of price. But I often just, and similar to Trev, you sit down, you look at the markets, and there's just not much that
there's
appeals.
Not much there. Then if you do get on, obviously it's got to win. You got to be more accurate, like Trev's saying and everyone's saying. And then you've got to hope that next time that you get on for the same amount. So I'm not saying you want to try and have 10,000 or 20,000 on them. Prices disintegrate so quickly. It's very hard to even get on for the same amount all the time.
No, I was just saying I've got to even get them to the races and get a meeting run. I've got to start there. So first I've got to get the meeting run. They've been having bets that are being called off. Then you're having bets that are not scratched. Then they've got to try and, you try and catch them at the right, some sort of fat
odds
on the odds and tip them out at some fat on the odds. And then they've got to try and win. It's a perfect storm at the moment. And all this rain's not helping, but
and it is weird, like Twitter and stuff.
Well, I was charging him, 3 or 4 times a week, to the cream this time last year, and this year I'm struggling to find bets to send out to the subs. It's just I'm not just going to send them out willy nilly.
And that's you shopping in like what I'm assuming you're saying is like this is the time of year that you get some promising maidens resuming that can be dominant and stuff, and they're not. And they're hard to find, and this is the best time of year for them.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, the rain hasn't helped, and No one's getting grass gallops into their horses and things like that, and the things are coming off the poly again. And anyway, but we're not going to keep going. But it is.
But you've got some idea, and it's hard to have a bet. Which surely then that's got to mean that the people that haven't got any idea that the bets they're going to have, they're just going to do their money faster.
Well, that's the other problem.
That's the nice way of saying it. Absolutely.
The churn. I mean, there is the churn factor is important. You know, you put your money and you churn it through the day, and it lasts you the day, and you might lose a clip of it. And the lower the percentages, the lesser clip. It's like the casino. You know, same thing. You bet, lose a small percentage and pay for things. But if the over rounds are bigger, the products are going. The punters, the recreational punters losing their money faster is going to be no good because that's all they worry about.
Yeah, yes, that's all. It's easy to say that they don't worry about the price, and that may well be true, and it probably is true in a lot of the cases. But what they worry about is how much money they got in the bank and how fast they've done their money. And the quicker they do their money, the quicker they'll lose interest, the quicker their wife or partner or whoever will be onto them. It's like, you know, if you go and you buy something at the shops and it's cost so much more than it used to,
you start to balk at it,
and then you get to a stage where it's like it doesn't fit into your budget. Well, then you go, well, I've got to do without that.
Yeah,
you add in the new what are they called? The transactional things every month that show you how much you're losing. So you might knock an extra 100 off every week without knowing it at the moment because you're losing it quicker. But soon enough, you're going to work it out.
Yeah, but even the way they're worded, though, it doesn't encourage you to actually bet. Like I reckon it's having
which is a good thing,
effect.
to be honest, for the industry. But I understand where you're coming from. But it's only going to wake people up quicker too, that they're losing money they can't really afford.
Definitely, it's forming a big peak at the moment. If the weather pattern continues like they forecast with the La Nina event, we have all these abandonments as DK or these bottomless tracks. The pressure between the client statements, the market percentage going up, losing meetings, it won't be sustainable, and it's going to turn around. It's got to be. Right. It'll turn around in 6 to 12 months. I hope
less. Yeah. Oh well, I don't know turnaround, but the signs,
the tipping point,
literally on paper, all their figures are they're going to have a heart attack.
Just 2 secs before we move on, just a funny story. I'll just back to the missus. Like the missus factor is a factor. They don't really care about all the hullabaloo. It's just bottom line. So me baker and the bloke who's got the deli, they got shares in Call Sign Mav, right? So anyway, so he wins the Group 1 and on Saturday. And I go up to get me bread on Monday, and he showed me the video. He said, "Look at Billy." They didn't go because the Pies were playing. So Billy's going cheering at home. You know those videos of people booting at home in the lounge room, completely losing his shit. Can't believe it's won a Group 1. Blah blah blah. This is massive. Blah, screaming his head off. Then about 30 seconds later, the missus in the background. What do you reckon she quipped? How much we win, babe? That's it. That's all it is. Bottom line. Not getting emotional. Not getting anything. How much we win, babe? That's it. So it's all bottom line. And the missus, and he says, you know, when they start saying how much you win and how much you're losing on the punt, how much you lose, you know.
You also got more scrutiny from banks and things with transactions to these sorts of people. Yeah. There's all sorts of pressures from the global community on top of this. It's not easy. You know, it's just not easy. If you miss a bloody bank statement or something, they look through and see you've had a few bets with Sportsbet. All of a sudden, they're right in your backside, which they never were before. It's a different world.
Good mate of mine last week gave his missus 500 for sunnies or a jacket or whatever. Then took her to the races on Sunday. She won 1,100, and he said, "Oh, do you reckon that 500 will go back into the joint savings account?" What do you reckon the answer was, Walt? Millions.
Yeah.
Would have got the death stare.
Joint savings? My missus doesn't even have a bank account.
Oh, okay. An interesting one, or probably the most bizarre thing I've seen for quite some time, and I guess probably it's just a lack of consistency. Hugh Bowman suspended on Lawson running, and then you got polar opposite, which is O President with Rachel King. O President went out 10.5 faster than the all-average benchmark, according to punting form, and it finished off 21.6 lengths slower off the average. She jumped evenly, but I had a look after you mentioned it, Walt, and it was clear to me it jumped evenly in a decent position, but she did. She scrubbed it for almost 300 metres, almost to the 1,000-metre mark. It was a 1,400-metre race, and I can't understand how Rachel's got off scot-free. I had to check the stewards report because I asked you in your chat, and you must have been doing something else, but I couldn't believe that Hugh Bowman got rolled for dropping his hands when it was sort of bob of the head.
1 inch before the line, literally.
1 inch before the line. And I just don't know that stewards even look at the film that closely at all. And then you've got something like Rachel just destroyed President, its chances, and that race, and Top Rank was the
Totally
beneficiary of that.
race,
But
yep.
how does she get off scot-free and not riding and Huey's on the sidelines?
I just enjoyed the post-race comment. Oh, very disappointing today. That's what she said about the horse's performance. Like in the old interviewed after the race, very disappointing today. Like not even, I'm sorry, or, just, I know it's hard to give yourself up, but to blame the horse. And then, there's just, I remember there was a kid, I think Bowman got done for it once before too, for going too fast on a horse. And then they did a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And he was actually, like if he tried to restrain the horse or whatever, it was the horse sort of just got away on him. He's an apprentice. And they pinged him. So if I don't know what the story is, like how they gauge it, but like what do you say, the 10 or whatever it is? I think that's 10 lengths above for that grade too. So it's probably a lot more over, on an average grade or whatever. It's gone significantly fast. There's got to be you got to get a speeding fine nearly, haven't you? It makes sense. Whereas Bowman's got reduced to 7 days. I'll never understand that decision or what was behind it. It just doesn't seem like it had anything to do with the actual situation. It just seems like it was I don't know. It was a very weird one.
Just none of it adds up. And it wasn't like it was a favourite. It wasn't like it was ever going to win. It was just like a minor placing. And
it wasn't definitive. So like if it's a protest, you got to say that it definitely cost that position. To give him such a significant penalty, you would think, and how anyone could possibly say he cost the horse a position off what I've seen anyway would be staggering. They'd have to be old O.J. Simpson's lawyer.
On a more positive note, we launched the Masters Club. It's there's a little graphic on the screen now, but if you're in podcast land and listening, it's a $50 membership to get you a chance to go to Augusta to watch the Masters. So $50 entry, and I think we find out who the winner is via our friends at Ankle Breakers. These guys they do these breaks where you win jerseys, you win
it's an interesting name, isn't it? The old Ankle Breakers. It sounds like a deck collection company.
But I think you break your ankle playing basketball a lot, is it?
I think you break your ankle if you don't pay the bloke who you've had the bet on for the basketball. Isn't that like, I've never heard of ankle breakers to me was always like, you cop one in the knee or the ankle if you don't pay the mafia. But anyway, good luck to them.
But these guys, they've done the draws with Josh Giddey, with Shaq, with all these basketballs. They've got NFL helmets signed. They get heaps of stuff out of America. And we've partnered with them for the last sort of 6 months. So these blokes are in charge of our Masters Club. So $50 is a dart, and it might get you to Augusta to watch it. I know Henry's probably bought a ticket already.
I haven't yet, but I will be buying a couple.
Augusta, Augusta, we know Simo and all that have been there.
Yeah, they've been twice. Some mates. I was actually going to go this year. Originally, I was 60 last year, and then that was the plan. Sort of before COVID, partner and I were going to go, and then COVID happened and everything else, and we said never got round to it. And then instead, we went up and scoot and Waltland for 3 months instead. So
it's still on the bucket list.
Hey?
Trev, you might be right. Pre-Q, you might be able to get a game.
$50. He just a $50 dart, and he might be coming with me, and maybe you if you can win the stream.
When do you think the Masters will become a live event? It can't be far off. Norman will just buy Augusta.
Be interesting to see how it shakes out and whether the live golfers will be allowed to be there. Speaking of the big stream next week, there's a graphic on screen again. We've got the semi-finals here, Turnbull and Epsom Stakes Day. We've got Mark Lambourne versus John Walter.
I'm not going to tell. I've actually woken up in a cold sweats the last 2 nights with Lambourne in my dream. So he's already inside. He's living rent free in there. I'm very good. Must be deep seated bloody nerves there or something. I'm not sure what's going on.
And Johnny McLeod versus Anthony Don. So there's a 2-on-2 battle, and then the winner will progress to Caulfield Cup and Caulfield Cup and Everest Day. And whoever wins both of the semi-finals will play off, and the winner of that will also go to the Masters. So you can win your way there for a $50 membership in a Masters Club, but these 4 boys are going to have to battle it out to try and win a spot there. So it's a more difficult task for those guys.
When did the rules come out? The rules of engagement?
No, what's not? You'll have the same rules.
I need to know. I need to know.
Well, you can't bet yet. The banks aren't set.
Doesn't matter. I need to know the rules of engagement.
I think you need to take a couple of sleeping tablets to stop thinking about Mark Lambourne.
McLeod saying 6 o'clock. No, well, no. We've got to have a time limit. There's no 6 o'clock to Woomba going on to Ascot, going on to. Otherwise, well, actually, it'll probably suit Donny. He'll find something at Mandurah, and it'll probably never end. But I want the rules of engagement.
Well, I'll let you know as soon as possible. I might fire them out next Monday or Tuesday. But we did 4 little promo videos. They're on our YouTube channel. If you head to @LittleBirdieTV on Twitter, you can find the links to them there. So we interviewed the boys, asked them a series of questions, and they're just a good learning tool. So the guys gave away a couple of droplets of gold for you aspirational punters at home, and even myself. Good couple of refreshers for some lessons on what to do and what not to do. And there's some talk about big players in the game and how they approach things, and I guess how Walt and everyone started, and tiny little edges that they sort of give away. Did you watch them, DK?
Yeah, I've watched the Lambourne one.
Everyone says that.
I saw Walt's tweet. I was sort of pottering away, and Walt said, "Make sure you watch this." So I put aside 20 minutes, and it's hard to get when you've got kids these days and school holidays. But I loved it, and you interviewed really well. You interviewed him, asking great questions, Scoot. And Lambourne's just got that beautiful, you could say gift of the gab. It's not talking bull. You just want to listen to what he says, and that's why so many people have been influenced by him in their punting journey, because you just want to listen to what he says. And then I was sitting there. I'm probably similar vintage to him. He's a little bit older than me, but similar vintage. And just his answers just really resonated with me, So I thought it was outstanding, and no, good stuff, Scooty.
So definitely check them out. They're definitely worth a look. And then I guess you can pick who your warrior, or if you want to side, or if you want to help prop up someone, and watch these guys battle out. So it's going to be a limited bank. So there's only certain spots there. So I'm tipping they'll max out. So maybe get in Monday or Tuesday next week. But it's going to be something very rare and something very different. So we've sort of had Bet Doctor versus Rant in the past, and that's been pretty good fun. I think we got good returns there. 5 or 10% and 20% was the win. I think Bet Doctor boys knocked off the Rant last time, but I think this is, I guess, the future of where our sort of streams are heading, and hopefully we can keep finding sponsors to put up prizes. So big hat tip for TopSport to take the bets for starters, but they've donated the prize for one of the 4 punters to go to the US Masters. And before DK chips me again, we're going to try and set up a provincial Victorian circuit, so he can win himself maybe to Hong Kong.
You've got to make it in his rules. You got to bet in every race.
The wheels are spin.
Bendigo 1400-metre maidens, Walt. That Bendigo.
We might have to have a chat to our friends at RV and just put a whole card of 1400-metre maidens at Bendigo.
That'd be funny.
Oh gosh. All right, let's talk about punting form quickly. The Rachel King debacles, the figures that I quoted before, standout performances. You can see it all through their database. They might be having an upgrade soon, which is great. So it's a nice little fresh skin there, but more will be told in that space soon. It's the best form guide in the business and so easy to use. So if you're learning sectionals and databases, it's a good place to start for sure. Trackscran, it's been a little bit quiet again. Crowds, I don't know, I think they're flying on course, or they're too busy doing other stuff, or they've lost their appetite or something. But Trackscran this week, the runner-up is it's pretty good. I tell you what, both of the scrans this week are A1 quality. That's a ham, cheese, and tomato toasted sandwich from Caulfield. I don't know if it's sourdough or not, but they've cooked that to absolutely perfection.
Mate, I do all that the Lambourne. You can tell that's been made with love. There's passion in that sandwich. There's passion.
$11.50, they don't miss you. But the winner this week is Wagga Wagga, the assorted dumpling tray, $18. Gee, they don't miss you there, DK, but those dumplings are quality. You're a dumpling man, DK.
What?
Well, yeah. Well, again, I can comment on this pretty strongly, Scoot, for a couple of reasons. Wednesday night is dumpling night in the Kelly household, so it's dumpling night. The missus gets the steamers out, the beautiful Chinese baskets and whatnot.
Do your dumplings get a run too, or?
No, well, they didn't last night. And so I went and loaded up. So when the KB, like you get the Diana Chans or whenever they're on the special, you just grab them. So the KBs, which are the KBs, the prawn hargao, you'd know that from the Yumcha. Well, me and Henry used to go play golf and then go to Yumcha, the prawn hargao and the gyozas and everything. $8.50 half price on special, $8.50 for 30 pieces. So I had a look at that. There was 9 dumplings on the thing, 9 for $18. So I assume the person serving them was wearing a balaclava. It was just $2 a dumpling. Like, I know there's extras.
What about the sauce?
Please, like, they did look good, that sauce, that on that sauce on that dumplings. That was, look, it's all right, but that's balaclava robbery stuff.
I got those South Melbourne dim sims from the supermarket. I've never noticed. There's 6 in the pack. I've never noticed how much they were. And then, I know for some reason I was looking at the thing when I was putting them through and they were $15.
$15 for 6.
I went, I didn't know they were like that much. They are good. They are good though.
There's a hot tip you got to, and that's they are magnificent. But there's a hot tip. You're always going in the supermarket, swanning past the frozen section, always just take a glance at the dumpling section. When the KBs or the Diana Chans are half price, got the big discount, just grab them because they're a tip.
Trev's only just starting to look at the grocery bill now that the POC taxes starting to savage his prices.
No, I'm because I've got the supermarkets around the corner, so I go 4 or 5 times a week and
4 or 5
don't spend a lot. But I think at the end of the week, if you added it all up, you'd have a real fright.
Maybe you should look into supermarket delivery, but I guess half the fun's picking it all out. Speaking of picking things out, Manscaped, this one up the beak. I don't know if you need this or not, Trev, but it's an absolute beauty. Something I use 4 or 5 times a week. I just tiny little touch-ups here and there. Just straight up the beak. The lawnmower, got to run. I got the chest. I was a bit embarrassed. I went to Byron on Sunday and had to give the chest hair a bit of a vacuum on Monday, Tuesday. I was a bit hairy. Well,
I got the lawnmower out and got a bit excited the other day and hadn't been for a walk for a while. We did 2 laps of the thing, which is about 10 Ks, Beck and I, and didn't realise that nut hair is also a natural chafe resistor. And when it's not there, you tend to struggle to walk the next day. So be careful when you mow for the first time is my advice.
Well, if you want more attention around your dumplings, make sure you get Manscaped, get the lawnmower and the weed whacker. I think the combo's about $150, 20% off. Little Birdie is the code, manscaped.com. Absolute beauty. Let's talk about racing. That's probably what we're here for. Don is good. Very cheeky in his promo video. He's definitely
chirpy.
Huh?
Very chirpy.
Yeah, love to give a bit back.
Chirpy.
He's a little Mark Lambourne disciple or apprentice, I would have thought. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Donnie. And last week, Stray was absolutely off the map, 26 into $13. It ran 4th. He was all up in our chat, wasn't he, Walt? He was absolutely beside himself.
Ride.
It was a huge run.
I can't say it was really a terrible ride. It was obviously premeditated instructions ride, but the run was astronomical. Should have been in the finish.
Absolutely sick. Walt took on Nature Strip last week and got a sore bottom.
Backed it.
I thought you tipped Eduardo.
I did. I took 450 at 280 the other one when it was I love these things, but it was
little Dutching.
It was it was 2-horse race, wasn't it? But I've never seen him look better, Nature Strip. But I still can't understand how Eduardo wasn't in the finish and didn't run a place. It was one of the strangest performances I've seen in a long time. It was most disappointing, Eduardo, but we battle on.
Yeah, he BF Dollars is certainly just going at the moment, isn't he?
He is, but I watched it live and thought he went too quick or something, and he sort of just gave Nature Strip the perfect drag into the race, but he went quite slow and he was quite weak late, and I heard Brenton talk after the race saying like big blow, and they must have just patted him and sat in his box. He had that first up run, Eduardo. They must have just been concentrating on the Everest because that was certainly too bad to be true, but we battle on.
Hopefully he can turn around this week. He's got a massive ride in the Golden Rose. TopSport Steamers, they're on Chain of Lightning. Bit of a miss there. The Bet Dr. Lay's Uncle Bryn is a swimmer, we've learnt. So I tell you what, we can get one to leap out of the ground. It was out the gate. I think it was $4.80 at about $8, but fell into the top 2 for us. So if you've been following our Lays of the Week, you're making a lot of bank. You go on super.
Melbourne or something? What's an Uncle Bryn? Where was it running? I would have watched it to death ride you. Where was it?
A race against Gold Trip. Your favourite horse.
Was it in that race?
Yeah.
I'm going good. Yeah, never heard of it. Uncle Bryn?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Trev's up.
Gold Trip. I'm thinking of Golden Mile. Sorry, Gold Trip in Melbourne. Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense.
Do you know what day it is?
Yeah, I do. Today. It's Friday.
Trev Lawson's a super sub. Nico's away. He's down at Foster in Victoria on a little couples trip, or he's away with the missus. He might be cashing in the $500 voucher that I owe him. But he's chosen a pretty good week to go away. Public holiday Thursday, Friday. He's got Moe, got the Valley. But he'll be back on deck on Sunday for his subs, for his Mounting Yard Mail. If you're betting this week, make sure you check out TopSport to win $5,000 on all the Group 1s. Best of the best is dead, sadly. But stop betting at the imports and bet local, bet Aussie and bet with TopSport because they're going to go down swinging, that's for sure.
Can't be a good sign for Nico's relationship, this early on that they're going away for, long weekends during this time of the carnival. Is it? You think he's already he's just asserting his dominance, and
He's gone.
it's a bit of a problem.
He's
isn't it?
cactus. He's completely
Yeah,
cactus.
you
If you
know.
give in to that sort of stuff early.
Yeah, you don't like. You just got to. Well, yeah, that's right. If you give it away early, it's over.
I have my holidays in January and July, and it all pins. It's all around racing.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Oh,
right. Cool. And
DK, you have to pull him aside.
you
mate.
go. You go.
You wouldn't do that.
The next thing she'll be pinging for a Cox Plate Day wedding sort of thing. And he's
Oh,
what? No, I want a Cox Plate Day. I want to get married and I want to get married now.
I don't even want anyone to talk to me on Cox Plate Day, let alone go anywhere or see anything. Anyway.
Friday night at the Valley. I've brushed Noosa this weekend, and I'm home alone, which is going to be awesome. I got the Valley Friday night, and Trev's going to get stuck into this one. The first race we're going to have a look at is the JRA Cup. It's 2040 Cox Plate distance, and Great House is the favourite, $3.80 into $3.40. Desert Icon $4. Mac Ram is $4. Nerve Not Verve $8. Pre-to-turn $13. Persand $14. 15 Sound. Grand Promenade $19, and then 21 or 31 the rest. And the deduction coming out there is nonconformist. I think they're going to save him for Sunday in the Underwood Stakes. But let's have a look at Macram's last start. You like this one, Trev? Trev from the Hayes camp here in the blue and the green.
Yeah, there's two in the blue and the green. It's one with the sort of the green cap, about to hit the front now. I thought it was good here. 1 second up, last prep as well. First up this time in it, pulled up with an issue. Here I thought it really sprinted really quickly from the 6 to inside sort of the 200. And I just thought the last 100 and a bit there, he floats a bit. And I thought also he was off 35 days. So I just thought that he could improve off that run, get into 2,000 third up. Down the track, he might be a blinker horse possibly. But I just thought it was a good run. Great House comes out of the same race. Great House gets half held up as well and runs home, but I thought he was holding it on the line. And off the map, he'll settle in front of Great House. I think Great House has just gone up favourite because McDonald's riding it. And I thought the other danger was Desert Icon. It was better the other day, third up. Fourth up, it's fourth up now. Fourth up last prep, it produced its best ever figure. And it'll sit on the pace. So I thought it could improve as well. And I thought it was it and Great House were the dangers to Macram, but I'll sort of be happy backing Macram and Desert Icon if I could.
Any thoughts there, DK?
No. I was side with Trevor. I saw that Macram win, and a few sort of people pinged for it the other day at odds. Did you sort of?
I actually was on it.
You're on it
at sort of the big, I was on 4 horses or something.
Yeah.
But it's just I thought, and it was actually on at the second start as well. It's just one of those horses. I thought in my comments afterwards, maybe a big track horse, but sometimes those big horse, they can get around the valley because of the camber.
Yep.
And I'm just hoping he can sort of get a track. And I just thought he should be favourite, and he's not. So I thought he was an over. And if you can't find many overs.
No,
so
and that
happy
sort
to have a throw at the stumps.
That turn of foot, like you said, was it from the 6 to the 2 or the 5 to the 2?
Yeah.
That's a good sign for a stayer.
Yeah, it really pinged, and then I just sort of flattened out a bit, and he looked to float a bit. So I think maybe, they might put blinkers on next start or something like that if they go up in trip or something. But I think he's sort of, not a bad little horse.
Loses nothing with John McNeil going on, I would have thought. And now that Nonconformist, who absolutely loves Moonee Valley, now that he's out, I'm with you, Trev. I think this is definitely the horse to beat. Race 6, number 7, Macram, so $4 at TopSport. So I'd be interested to see what happens with the price there. Let's have a look at race 7 as the Moir Stakes. A lot of colliding form lines here. Hot little race, and it looks like a bit of a raffle to my eye. Polelli is $4. Rothfire $4.20. Zoo Style $7.50. Bit of a heartache story for us last time. We're on that one. Generation $9. Cool and Gatter $9.50. Bella Nipotina $12. September Run $13. Extremely Lucky $14. Isotope $19. Malkovich $19. In from $41. The Inferno $19. And Maliva, $51. No replays here. We could show a few different races, but around the room, Trev, you can. I think you've had a look at this race. Could you spec anything or have a tiny interest bet here?
If they're running on from sort of out wide, I could have something on Bella Nipotina at the odds. I thought it's going good. He'll sit sort of midfield 3 wide with a trail, but you'd sort of want the inside to be off. And outside it, I just thought it was a really wide open race. Rothfire was good the other day. It'll get a good run on the map. Paul Lilly's first up. It goes all right.
There's money for it as soon as the market went up, wasn't there? I think there's plenty. You might even look at but I think someone wanted to back it.
Okay, yeah. I've sort of got one really big figure for it, but it seems a consistent type horse. Zoo Style, it's drawn out, probably get caught wide. Generation was good the other day. I think it'll sit just on the speed. There's a really good speed here. Cool and Gatter, I think she'll hunt up from 1 and probably doesn't want to get crossed. But I didn't really like her. It's just sort of 3-year-old filly. The race, it's like sort of, 16-year-old boys running against men, unless they're sort of big and strong. I think sometimes they can get, the pressure just gets to them. So I didn't really like it, but I thought it would hunt up from the inside. Malkovich as well. So there's good speed in the race. So hoping sort of Willow could maybe get 3 wild by the trail. And, if it was sort of double figures, I'm happy specking it.
DK, that's not your cup of tea, but Walt, anything tickly fancy?
Yeah, it just doesn't look like it just looks a pox race, doesn't it? There's nothing that just looks horrible. There's just like, I'm not going to say weak, but one pace sort of average on paces, and then a bunch of horses that are sort of not really 1,000-metre horses that might run on, like say if it's just a bit of a, ugh.
But it's an indictment on Group 1, fair income Group 1 horses of the past.
Well, the funny part, and then you got 5 spots that still need to be filled in the Everest, and these are the horses that they're probably looking at. Like Paul Lilly's probably odds on to get the Godolphin spot, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of these horses have been approached and said, no, it's too hard. We'd rather stick to this because of the weakness of them, So, and then, the obvious follow-up from this as well. So, it's a bit weird.
It's an interesting one. If I had a free bet, I'd be probably having a peanut on Extremely Lucky, Malkovich or the Inferno.
He's another run on Extremely Lucky, isn't it? I say Buffering won this 3 times, Trev.
Yeah. Well, Extremely Lucky is going to be last. So, probably it's a bit hard for it. But, Buffering, what I mean, his first Group 1, was it?
I think it was, yeah.
Like he ran 100 of them and kept running second.
Then he won 3 of these. Once Black Caviar finished and all that.
And there's no one pacer there that reminds you of Buffering, is there? Nothing that's going to be up there and going to kick on. It's just something's going to be a sitting shot, and if it gets to it, something gets to it, they get to it.
It's a funny one. I've heard with Extremely Lucky that I think they're going to go around in the Matacado. I thought after its first attempt at the Valley last week, I would have taken this horse to Flemington and run it. There's so many decent races, and you could just see if this horse can show his turn of foot on a straight track. And I can't begin to imagine why you just run this horse this early in its campaign or career 3 times in a row at Moonee Valley. It's just beyond belief. There's something in that horse, but I can't believe what they're doing with it. But I guess Will Clarkin knows better than I. And let's have a look at Sunday, the other big race for the weekend, and it's the Underwood Stakes Group 1. Small field here, 6 runners, which is a bit embarrassing. Zaki, $2.60 favourite. I'm Thunderstruck, $2.80. Mr. Brightside, $4.20. Alligator Blood, $7.50. Moanga, $21. And My Little Horse, Nonconformist, is there at $81. Let's have a look at the replay of Zaki, and this is a little while away. First up, 1,400. You can see Ice Bath going to run on here, and I guess she somewhat franks the form. Horse is absolutely airborne at Ice Bath and ran Animo to a length, but Zaki just controls up forward. Walt?
It's got Profondo, who wouldn't run past me, and Nimali chasing it. And, Ice Bath's going well, but man. Well, I think the race that it was in last week was 5 lengths easier than this race.
A better setup. Let's have a look at I'm Thunderstruck just once more. Just chase home Alligator Blood.
So, hang on. What's the replay here? Who's in front here?
Hey?
Who's in front here?
Who? Alligator Blood.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What price was it there?
Oh, go away.
$8 each. $8 wasn't it?
$8, $1 on the fair. Some imbecile did $3,900 or something at the $1.
Trev, this is your race here. I guess you've now seen both of the replays, and which way are you going to side, and what's the reasons why?
Well, I had Zaki favourite. I'm basically just all figures and things like that. So I thought it rated okay first up. It's got natural improvement. I've rated it to a figure that it can do easily. I think DK said before about the 2 spikes in Queensland. Well, they are big spikes, and I've rated it like 4 lengths under those.
Okay, that's
like
what I was
nowhere
gonna
near
ask you.
those figures.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah, if I talk figures, it was in the 70s. Here, every day of the week, it's a 66 horse on my scale. It won this race last year doing 67.5, returned doing 64.5, and I've rated it 66, which is what it can do second up. And I just thought it sits. I thought she'll go forward, sit outside Alligator Blood. Williams will have the 1-1, and I thought I'm Thunderstruck will be last. And I sort of thought I haven't got much between them. I've only got sort of half a kilo between them, so like a neck. But I thought I'm Thunderstruck would be last. They met in the All-Star Mile. Zaki was second up, and I'm Thunderstruck was third up, which is what they are here. Zaki led. I'm Thunderstruck was held up, but then got out at the 300, and I reckon the last 150, Zaki was holding it to the line. So they meet here again. And
Trev, you haven't had a bad dumpling between now and then or two, have you?
No. So, yeah, so I think, and you could take a line through, you could take Ice Bath or something. I don't know. Yeah. But I just thought, I'm Thunderstruck still on the way up, maybe, but it's subjective last week by how far it would have won by if it got out earlier. And that's what a lot of stuff that you do sometimes is about, just sort of being subjective. So, if I'm Thunderstruck was favourite, then I'd back Zaki. But at the moment, I've got, Zaki just in front of I'm Thunderstruck, but not much margin. And then I thought there was a gap to Alligator Blood and Mr. Brightside. I thought they should be the same price. Mr. Brightside was short enough. Yeah, last 31, it was just a joke race. They walked, in layman's terms, they went over 2 seconds slower than the class par. It was just a walk and a sprint home.
Barrier trial, yeah.
So it hasn't had a hard run. And, Alligator Blood went good the other day. So I thought, Alligator Blood and it should be equal second. Mahanga's going horrible and non-conformance is not fit enough and good enough.
DK, your horse, Mr. Brightside, it's lost in the conversation here a little bit. It's the first time, Trev mentioning then, it's the first time I've heard about it all week.
Yeah, well, I think that's correct. You're coming off a barrier trial against horses who've off real good runs in good, decent time races. So he's got to have some vulnerability there. And you might say this is a embarrassing small field or something. These are the top. You've got 5 of the top 6 picks in the Cox Plate here, or 4 of the top 6, and the only one's missing Animo, who we think Zaki and then Thunderstruck can put a hole in when they finally meet him. So he's obviously got some issues off the other day. Maybe he got an issue or not, who knows? But Zaki. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be tactical. Going to be a great race to watch. I just like them as spectacles, not as betting races, of course. But you can see Zaki giving a great kick and the other horse having to come after him. So it's going to be exciting.
Question for you, John Walter. 1,800 metres Alligator Blood?
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 possibilities. If she sits off him on Zaki and absolutely walks in this small field, Alligator Blood will outsprint him and win. And if she balls it up him at the 600, Thunderstruck will reel him in. So, I think it needs a soft time to win Alligator Blood because it's still a half a run behind. I think that's what cost it last start. No doubt the right horse won the race. It was a bit unlucky in behind him, got held up, the winner, and it probably was closer than it should have been. But he does have fitness upside, Alligator Blood, and if he gets full control here, he can still run home in 34 or whatever he can do, So, I don't think Zaki will get past him if they do that. And I think if she tries to make it a bit of a staying test, that big sucker that ran me down last time will run it down.
Do you agree with what the guys are saying around Mr. Brightside's soft? A setup point of view, he's had a little bit more time. He's had softer runs.
And he's still got to run 1,800 as well.
Is that a negative?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's never been there.
Absolutely, he's never been there. So his ideal would be a soft run mile, and I don't think he can outsprint the 2 in front of him if they do go slow. And if they go quick, I think Thunderstruck will go past him as well. So I think he's in the squeeze box. Poor old Mr. Brightside. Plus, he's class and distance the test as well.
So do you think when he won the Doncaster, he had no weight? It was more the weight rather than him looking for the extra distance in the Doncaster?
I'm not really sure what happened. There was a bit of a funny run, wasn't it? It was a bit like a very elegant in the Melbourne Cup, but he has come on from it since and shown that it was no fluke. He's definitely a horse that's still on the up, but he's I don't know. This for me is the week to oppose Mr. Brightside, just because he's got question marks to answer. He's got good horses in front of him, a good one camp behind him. And he's got the, coming in off the soft run and the distance query. So he's got a lot of questions to answer this week. And you're not getting a price to really bonus in those questions.
Exactly. I think the market's going to take him on it and bet late if you like him. DK, you were going to say something?
I just thought there was some chatter that he mightn't lead. Well,
Alligator?
Yeah, he might hand up to...
I think Tim likes, not leading for Tim is not really an option.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially in a small field, he's not going to want to be behind Zaki. It's not as if it's a horse that you really want to try and run down, is it? I think he understands the only way to beat it's from in front of it. And if she wants to go crazy, he'll let it go, but I doubt that she wants to do that either. So she's second up, extra week off, a little bit vulnerable too. Surely they go out not negative, but, quite passive.
He's just saying that's the thing. He said he's got a lovely turn of foot if he gets into the right rhythm. Well, you think getting into the right rhythm
is not the coffin.
Not the coffin, although Zaki will go at a reasonable temp, reasonably tempo. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think you say it's disappointing on paper. This is probably the most interesting race I've seen in a weight for age race for ages. And, Animo in it would be incredible. So if that's the Cox Plate field, I'm not too disappointed, even though it's not, probably vintage depth of years gone by.
But yeah, it's good to have Animo missing in a way. Finally, then they all get together in the Cox Plate rather than all meeting now and all meeting again.
I mean, beforehand, it's all opinion and everything like that, I suppose. And what you hope that the conditions are even for everybody, and then post-race, then you use the result to go forward doing the form later on, which is what's been happening, earlier this month, but didn't happen last Saturday at Caulfield. None of that form will be relevant for the rest of the year.
And Sunday as well.
And Sunday, yeah, with those Derby and Oaks trials, sort of thing. So, I think it'd just be a good race. They're the best horses down here at the moment. They are, that's what the standard is. So that's the race.
I think you guys have summed it up really well. I can't really see Jamie Carr wanting to gas Zaki. I'd lean to think that it's not going to be a real brutally run race, given what
if he pulled out of that race last week.
It's coming off a wet 1,400 metre run. 3rd of, I think, September was the last time we saw Zaki. He missed last week, clearly, because he's here. But the last thing they want to do is gas this horse.
Why did you miss last week? There was a gifted lead. You were going to get a soft run. So there's only reasons are he was still hungover from the first up run. They were worried about his fitness maybe on another testing track. So therefore, he's probably not near his top. Otherwise, I think they would have gone around last week. There was too much in his favour last week.
I think they could go a little bit slow here, and it might be a spanner in the works. It's a real trap race from a betting perspective for mine, and I'm fascinated to see how it rolls out. But if you're betting, watch the market moves. Hopefully, they help solve the puzzle for you. But I think you guys have hit the nail on the head there. Head to Champion Bets if you want Trevor's sets. As he said, he's been in the game. He's still got his number one customer from day dot. So. It says a lot. That's
honestly
there.
like the benchmark of how you exactly. If you can maintain clients and they follow you wherever you go or whatever, it's not easy to do in this game.
He's been on the show before too in our SEN days. You would have heard his voice when we had the show with SEN. So he's not completely a stranger to everyone, but we thank him for filling in with Nico. I think he's going to stay around for the rest of the show, and he might be able to give you some curry up in Sydney.
Yeah.
And let's jump straight into that. But as I said before, Nico's Mounting Yard Mail will return on Sunday after his love-in. Hopefully he's nice and clear off the back of that. And let's talk about Rosehill. I tell you what, Walt, Thursday, it's cats and dogs here. I've had to jump in the pool, and it's absolutely puking down rain up here. But Saturday's races, it all just hinges around this big rain bomb forecast today. It's up to what?
Today, tomorrow, there's still around too. So there's not as if there's drying weather if it misses today and only just hits. So you'd expect it to be somewhat rain affected. Hopefully it's not in the heavy range, because that will really change things.
I don't know if this is correct, but it's posted up as a good 4 at the moment, but I expect you're not going to get anywhere better than, a soft 6 or 7 at least?
Yeah,
and
which
it could
is
be a
scary
heavy 10.
because 6, 7 traditionally, rail true, you can be rails in run and sort of get off in the straight 5 or 6 off and be okay, but rails in run's been diabolical there recent times with rain affected, so it is a big factor. Like, it's a massive difference to even how the big races are run, but all the races are run on the day if significant rain falls and it gets to sort of in that 7-ish range. I would say, you're looking for horses off rail in run, which is a huge change.
Let's have a look at the Colin Stephen race 4 at Rosehill's the first one. Cadre Noir is $2.20 here. Herman Hess $3.60. Groove Ferry $5.50. Mohican Heights $6. 11 Fun Factor Turney $34. And Monreal is $51. We're going to have a look at the last start replay of Cadre Noir. And here is Brent Navdullah. It's probably the last winner he's ridden in town.
And the poor bastard, he wins a group race, B6 on it, and he's straight off it, and J-Mac back on next start. So it shows the cutthroat nature of Sydney racing at the moment. This horse got away with the race to start before when I think he was underdone, ran down one of Gay's, can't remember what it's called, now Spelling. And it was a good win, big gap behind. This day, just completely dominant. And horses that have sort of run behind it there have come out and run okay. I just lining it up. I know it drops a bit of weight, the other horse, and it is an example of why this day looks so difficult. So this horse is fine if the track's sort of 5, 6, no problem. The wetter it gets, the better for this horse, I would imagine. And sort of lining it up against the Herman Hess form, I think that form is really a little bit sketchy. Like the time of that race was okay. It dropped 7 kilos. That's all good. Comes up from a benchmark 78. But the 2 favourites we've talked about that race both failed. There's just a lot of question marks over that form, whereas Cadre de Noir is certainly a horse just right on the up, and I just think he's got too much upside. Grove Fairy's a horse that looks like it's a bit of a hard horse to work out at the moment, whether it runs 2,400. You can't really tell whether it wants a mile or 3,000. So I think he's a horse that's vulnerable to a horse with a turn of foot like Cadre de Noir as well, and I couldn't really build a case for any of the others to hold this horse off no matter how the race was run. So on a day that was tough, it's certainly not in my wheelhouse to step into a $2.30 chance in a 2,400 metre race, but I think it starts odds on if the rain comes. And it's definitely, it's not a Waller runner second up. So I'm going to be able to sleep a little bit better than I would. Anyone who really, likes Freddy Krueger movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, just tuck yourself into race 3. It's the race that you really want to get your teeth stuck into on Saturday if you really don't like yourself and you hate life. It's the Waller House of Pain, but hopefully Cadre Noir gets away with race 4.
I did have a look. I went through the fields yesterday, and I'm like, have a look at this one: Wicklow, Alcyone, Hammer On, Quality Time, Yalton, Kiss a Bride, Caboche, $13, Russo, Tampering, Maid Stage, and I thought this will absolutely do Walt Seed. And I was hoping that you'd preview it on the show, but I'll tell you what, Caboche is just going to completely run a race now, isn't it?
Kiss the Bride's on the double 7-day backup. Yowtown second up off 400 days. It is just the greatest head screwing. Tampering's run out of its skin last start. Kerry Parker's horses are, running through brick walls. It's just, there's that many. Oh my God. That is just, oh my God. I actually I won't even do the race. I won't even write a market for it. I'll apologise to everyone because it is just pain.
When the days look impossible, Walt's definitely someone who can pull a rabbit out of the hat. So I'm going to back you in this weekend, and I reckon you're going to find a couple of big priced roughies, and you'll have an absolute fill up. So make sure you check out Racing Watch. But the big feature, and it's one of the greatest races of the year in Sydney, is the Golden Rose, and that's race 8 over 1,400 metres. And In Secret's the favourite here. The filly, $2.70 favourite. Golden Mile, $6. That's Walt's tip last start. Beautiful result. Easy watch there. Jacquino, $7. Fireburn, $9. She's Extreme, $9.50. Paris Dior, $19. Fast Witness, $21. Shajardan, $26. Mullane, $31. Dormier, $41. Prometto, $41. And then you're looking at $51 or better the rest. And the replay we're going to have a look at first is the favourite In Secret here, Walt.
Yeah, so weirdly, leader here, Best of Bordeaux, who drew 1 in here and looked the leader, soft leader again, is not going around. So none of these horses in the first 4 are in this race, which is strange considering the dominant favourite comes out of this lead up. Fireburn behind it is in the race, and I think it can certainly improve. In Secret had the nice run here, and I was a little bit worried about it stretching out in distance, but as you can see through the line here, it's definitely shown that that should not be an issue. The soft draw further enhances that, allows the horse to get a similar run to what it had on this day. Again, you've got Fireburn sort of drawn 16 or whatever, so the track conditions are all important to how big a positive that soft draw is.
Let's have a quick look at Golden Mile last start, and it's in the Godolphin Blue again, peeling off their backs. There's nothing. My concern here, there's nothing much in the race. I guess the positive is if it's a deluge, it's going to be probably more like a 1,600 metre event.
This is kind of where we're sort of heading, isn't it? Like it's all about the track conditions, because this is definitely the In Secret race is the race that you want to find the horses out of. These are sort of more spring champion-y, maybe even Derby sort of types behind that are sort of whacking away. He doesn't really do a lot. It looks impressive to the eye, Golden Mile, but the race was set up for him and he didn't really extend through the line, whereas In Secret was building through the line. So even though visually they may look a little bit similar in their dominance, I think In Secret far and away was the better lead-in run to this race. But like you're saying, it's the horse that looks like it wants a mile plus already, Golden Mile. And I think if they, the rider, he has been riding better, but he has sort of lapsed a few times recently as well. He's not the rider I want in a high-pressure situation on a horse that needs to be ridden positively, probably the first 400 metres, to make sure that it's in front of some of the tail, the long tail to this race. And if he gets stuck behind those early, he may face a tough task. But certainly if rain comes and it's more testing and down the middle, that's going to play into Golden Mile's hands. But I think he does need a few more favours than In Secret does.
Trev, what do you think of a horse like Jacquino?
I thought he went really well first up. I've sort of got, ratings for Sydney, but, I wouldn't die with them, but I didn't have much between the three of them, Jacquino, Golden Mile and In Secret. But it went good first up. It was strong late. I would have thought 1,400 would suit it. But it's just sometimes just with the Melbourne horses going to Sydney, it just seems sometimes a bit harder for them to get around the track than running this way. The Sydney horses seem to do better here.
Big concern with Jacquino is probably the wet ground. I think he really got on top of the ground, but he might be a bit of a duffer, and it's a real crossroads race for Jacquino.
He'll back inside probably. That's the rest of the horses, but he's got a good turn of foot.
He might be better in a Coolmore stud, or it depends how strong he is through the line, but I wouldn't be surprised if he drops back to 1,200, or whether he goes to back to the mile at Caulfield where he sort of excels there. So it's a big track watch for him. The Muddies at sort of value odds, I couldn't really steam into In Secret myself at $3. I'd rather back Fireburn or She's Extreme at sort of the $9 or $10. And just to my eye, I thought Fireburn was the horse that I'd probably prefer.
If it drew the other gate, you'd be much happier. It's just 16 and where it's going to be. I think it definitely needs the rain to come. And we sort of talked about Adela. I like him when he's on the horse that's not expected to win. Like if it came in here 6-4 favourite from that gate, I think there'd be a lot more pressure on him and he'd sort
tense up a bit.
Well, yeah, it'd be. Whereas here he could sort of free roll a bit. It doesn't really matter if this horse wins or not. It's not a stallion. It's already won it's what it needs to win. So I think he can chance his arm a bit here. If he gets the right run, he's very dangerous. I think She's Extreme is too. I think it's a very interesting race too from the flight. I wouldn't be surprised if She's Extreme, especially backed up next week and ran in the flight stakes. I think there's big price about it available. I'm not talking about things about smashing in all ups, but I think it's interesting. And there's another horse in this race called Prometo that I think is very interesting from the Spring Champion Stakes. It's sort of around the 20-1 mark for that race. I think there's it's a good race, and there's horses that'll come out of it and find better targets. But I think In Secret, clearly the horse to beat. The two value horses, the two horses you said, She's Extreme and Fireburn, if it's down the middle and it gets a bit wet. And Golden Mile's definitely right there, but I do think he needs a good ride, and he needs and I think he's looking for a mile.
but it might turn into a bit of a slog. So definitely weather watch and racingwatch.com.au. That's how you get more of Johnny's analysis. You get it via email. You can jump into the Discord chat, and I think there's a few high-profile birthdays in the chat room this week, so must be a good breeding time around December, Jan. Everyone on
Christmas babies, aren't
Christmas
they?
babies, Christmas New Year's babies, and then bang, get a result there. So I've never seen so many birthdays sort of line up on my Facebook feed around this week of the year. So there's something in it. Let's have a quick look at Donnie's best and see what he likes this week.
G'day, team. Donnie here with Donnie's best for this weekend's racing. Don't like the Metros too much this weekend, but I found a good thing out wide. We're going to race 6 at Goulburn on Friday. Sellers for James Cummings. Go and have a look at this thing's trial. It trialled like a rocket. Under double wraps for James McDonald. He didn't breathe on it, but it still runs some of the best late sectionals. It is a perfect trial for a first up kill at 1,000 metres. It's paying $3.70 with TopSport. I think it's a good thing. There's plenty of speed. It should be coming down the middle of the track. So go and back it now. The other one, a bit of a roughie. We go to Rosehill on Saturday. Maurice is my dad. First up last campaign at racing really good horses in Group 2 company. The 2 trials leading to this have been outstanding. It's going to be strong through the line. It can get over 2,000 metres later in the prep. It handles the wet. It's got Joshy Parr on, should settle forward in midfield, and it's a decent chance, a decent price at $14. That's Maurice's Me Dad, race 6 at Rosehill. The main bet, Goulburn race 6, Sellers. It's $3.70 with TopSport. It's also in at Scone on Friday, so if it goes to Scone, we'll back it there as well. Good luck, team.
Double it up. It could win at Scone and Goulburn. He's the only man who could get it done, both of the same day.
He's seeing him very well. He's full of confidence, doesn't lack any Donnie.
Trying to get the trial up. If you had internet here, I'd be sweet to get the trial up. I want to see it. He's got me excited, but I haven't seen it personally.
And he gave Mug a little whack on his video too. He reckons he's tipped more winners in the first month than Mug did for his entire career. He's bullish. I love him. Donnie, I'm going to put my money on Donnie to beat Johnny McLeod in week 1. Okay, so that's Friday, race 6, Goulburn, Sellers, number 5 there, and then Saturday, race 5, number 12, Maurice is my dad. The horse that Walt and I kicked up for many times last preparation, but maybe...
Yeah, he just had a real long prep, didn't he? I'd be interested to see how he returns, but I'm assuming his big odds, I sort of didn't pay too much attention, to the price he is in that.
It's been 21 into 14.
Yeah, so well.
Are you on?
I'm not knocking him. No, I'm obviously not. But he's a talented horse, and I just worry about horses returning off those really hard long preps, but hopefully he's back and flying, and he's due to strike with a big price winner because he's definitely been around the mark.
We'll wait and see. Okay, TopSport Big Bets. They're all Sydney, so they're fearless, these punters, or they're expecting the track to
I know who this is.
Be wet.
I know who this is.
Could be my bet.
Hey?
Star Tontes. Race 7, number 2 is Star Tonte, $600 at $8.50. I think it's a good ticket to have. What's the favourite in that? Espiona.
If you're backing it, there's a horse that finished on its heels. We talked about it as well off air, My Whisper, that's about $34, and it's certainly a horse that wants $1,400. It's got the great man Willie Pike about it, so I think I've put he's about $21 minimum to back him these days, but you're getting $34 My Whisper. If you have something on it, have something on it as well.
He had a couple of winners yesterday, Willie Pike, and there's some people on Twitter chirping up. He's got a loyal army, doesn't he, Willie?
Yeah,
do not bag Willie. There's an army.
So he half carved Les's. He goes he was lucky that old mate dropped it out on the horse outside leader, gave him that spot, sits outside leader and falls in. Okay, the horse was too good. Well done, Willie. And I think the other one was very similar. He's not bad. He's not a terrible jockey. It's just that he's, the 50-50 calls at the moment, he's getting, 90% of them wrong. So it's he's not incapable of riding winners. It's just he needs a few things to fall his way.
I'll tell you what, Star Tonte's big price, alligator blood form, snap dancer form, and grows a leg on the wet. So if it starts bucketing, it will keep shortening the market.
Did you hear the Wayne Hawkes interview after he won the race with Willie? And they said, you've built a great association with Willie. He said, we've had our ups and downs. He says, Wayne, he can't. He's one bloke who refuses to go with the narrative. Wayne, if he doesn't, he bucks he just doesn't say. He's not a yes man.
I'd love to know what price. I'd love to back Willie to go back to Perth.
I don't know. Why is he here? Is he allowed to go back yet? Is he allowed any back stuff?
I don't know what the rules are. Lost interest. Race 8, number 7, Golden Mile, 1,000 at $5.50. So, yeah, definite chance. Wants probably 1,600 metres. This is another one. It's definitely not mine. Race 8, number 3, Jackano 2000 at $8. Again, spoken about that one. Maybe better suited on a dry deck. And this could be Walt's. Race 9, number 13, War Eternal. There's been people all over Twitter spruiking this one from $16, $18 on the early markets, and now it's into $14. I think it's in an $8.50 on $9. Good run last time in the Shannon.
Should have won. Yeah, this is a very different kettle of fish, this race. But again, it's just one of those nightmares. Ellsberg's a horse that you probably want to take on at short odds, but there's a lot of dangerous horses, another bit of a Wallace Scary race, Surf Dancer, a Tissue, Rustic Steel. There's so many horses that can improve here. Kerwin's Lane's dangerous first up. Mount Popper's dangerous first up. It's a super scary race, but at least he's sort of hard fit horse down in the weights. I think Dylan's on him. I don't know if he can claim in this race or not, but
Pinstripe's going to go to Sandown on Sunday, and it's not going to take part at Rosehill. So Enver's keeping him at home. Boys in Melbourne, sorry, none of the TopSport bets or those last couple of bets were Victorian focused. You still with us?
Only just.
Yeah. Grand Final, Scooty. Grand Final. What's your Grand Final tip?
Oh, I think it's a lot closer than the market probably suggests. I'll get the prices up, courtesy TopSport. We haven't got them on the screen, but $1.48 the Cats, $2.70 the Swans, and the Lions 12.5, 164.5. I think MG's tipping the over 164.5. Marky Goodwill, but I'd be happy to put the Cats in at $1.48 there. They'll look pretty short to me. What about you, DK?
Oh, well, yeah, similar. My old man's a Swanee, so I'll be cheering the Swans, but thought Geelong might get home for Dangerfield, and with their big key forwards, if they can fire up Cameron and the Tomahawk. What about you, Trev?
I'll be cheering for the Swans.
I hate the Cats. There's a few people who hate the Cats.
Grand finals are always close. Like, it's very rarely a blowout, isn't there? Like, especially 270 is always usually a good price for the outsider in a grand final, I find. 2
goals, like these, I think they both match up really well, these sides, and they've got a bit of a bit of milk drinker in them, the Cats. I think Scott's taken them to 12 finals series, and they've only ever won 1 grand final. So some of these blokes can go missing on the big stage.
And they're going to be the oldest team ever to be fielded or something. But the average age is 28.5.
Jesus Christ.
So I think they got so many blokes over 30 or something. So,
but the Swans need Reid. They need Reid.
Yeah,
they'll need Reid to play, I reckon.
Yeah.
They'll struggle without him.
And they're going to come out running and get the Cats off the bit, chasing and
start like they did against the Pies.
Yeah.
I think the obvious is to fall into the Cats after they had a walkover. I think the bit better prep the Swans, a tougher game. But what about the real match on Saturday night? Penrith Panthers and
never have heard of these teams.
Hey, and South Sydney, $1.36.
Have you ever heard of Cameron Murray, DK?
Cameron Murray?
No.
Oh wow. So you see, this is the problem. There's no culture in Melbourne.
8.5 line's pretty big. The Bunnies, isn't it? They'll cover that.
They've got 8.5 start.
8.5 start.
They should be giving 8.5 start, mate.
Yeah.
No, it'll be great. Hopefully, it's a good contest.
I've gone full Queensland. I've bought a Latrell Mitchell t-shirt during the week. No, I'll wear it on next week's show.
Latrell's an interesting one, DK. He's never ever had no farming background whatsoever, and he just wanted to buy a farm. So he bought one in Taree, and then he bought one next door, I think, for his old man. So now they're both herding cows or whatever and learning how they go. And now this week he's Latrell Milk's come out. They've started producing milk. Yeah. Oh, he's the best.
He's got me for a t-shirt.
He's an ideas man.
Oh, he's so funny. You watch him out there, like him and his old man on the quad bikes and stuff. Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome.
He's the best. I love him.
In the middle of Taree.
The Taree, what is it? The Taree Ferrari or whatever they call him. All right, it's going to be a great weekend on the punt. Make sure you head to Champion Bets if you want more of Trev's action. DK, maybe you'll find a bet. Maybe you won't. Mornington on Saturday. I'm sure he'll be stuck into that. And Walt Racing Watch. It's going to be an absolute beauty. So
63 meetings between now and Saturday. Holy crap.
I tell you what, I know one bloke I'm going better than. Nico Noonan. I've got the missus away for the weekend and I've got full control of them.
Where is he?
Hey?
Where is he?
We're freshening him up.
What part of the world did he go to? That's right, Foster.
Not good Foster.
Yeah, Foster in Melbourne.
Big thanks, Trev, for filling in for Nico, and good luck on the punt this week. And fingers crossed we've found everyone at home a winner. And good luck to you, DK. And dumpling night every Wednesday. I might have to.
I'm in.
Might have to do that myself. See you, boys.